The video that's been 2 months in the making is finally here. Let's go. Yo, what is up, Crockxen clan members, Poke fans, and other souls on this video. I'm SoresanCrockxen, and as I said, this video has been a long time coming. I do want to apologize for the huge delay, but it's finally here. And we're going to talk about this monstrosity of a game. I feel like we're safe, okay? We're in the safe zone of where I have the ability to talk about it without causing controversy or without getting flagged or swarmed with all this controversy crap that was happening back before the game released and when the game released. I feel like we have a good standing to do this video. This is not a full-on review, okay? I'm not going to review the game. I don't feel like I'm good enough to review games anymore, or yet. I never was, but I don't feel like I'm at a point where I feel comfortable doing like game reviews. That might be something down the line when I get better at whatever I need to do, video editing wise, like content wise, like maybe we'll tackle game reviews and stuff like that. But for now, this is more like a discussion video on the fact of how I feel about this title, well, Sword and Shield, they're the same fucking game. How I feel about this title, this generation, what I feel about Game Freak now after the release of this game, and after playing through the whole story, and I finished everything I can do in the game, barring like the typical like catching everything. I don't complete the Pokédex ever, but and then like the competitive side, I don't have the time to get into competitive anymore. maybe in the future, who knows what happens. Anyways, so essentially this is just gonna be my unfiltered thoughts on Pokemon as a franchise after the release of these games, and what I feel like Game Freak could do in the future for improvements on the formula, on the series, and how I generally felt about these games and what my future with Pokemon holds. So the first thing I want to talk about is my enjoyment of the game, whether I liked it or not, essentially. So I do want to say, and I do want to preface this by saying that before the release of these games, I was not a huge advocate for them. Before the Dexit controversy happened, I wasn't even a part of that. I didn't even care about that part. But before the controversy happened, I was not too keen on these games. I did like the starters, which is a huge improvement over Sun and Moon wise. Because I still to this day I don't like any of that. When the first trailer showed off Grookey, Scorbunny, and Sobble, I actually liked, for the most part, all three to some degree. My least designed one is the Scorbunny line. As a whole package, I don't care for the Scorbunny line. The Grookey line is okay until Ribaboom, whatever the heck that thing is called. I don't have the wand, so I don't know. And I like the Sobble line. I think the Sobble line is still definitely my favorite, and it will still be my favorite I want Ash to get a Sobble. Like, I'm at that point in this whole debacle. I might talk about the Sword and Shield anime or the Pocket Monsters 2019 anime maybe in the future, but for now we're gonna leave it off there. So the point is, I was not hyped for this game. Okay, I was not excited for these games. I was skeptical because of the fact that the last two generations were mediocre in my eyes. I did not like X and Y. Besides the fact that I finally got into a competitive mindset, like in terms of like the main game series, like actual cartridge. Whereas with Black and White and Gen 5, I was mainly playing on PO and Pokemon Showdown and stuff like that. So besides that factor, I didn't like the games. I don't like Gen 6, and to this day, I still stand by my stance that Generation 6 is the worst generation of the entire franchise. Sun and Moon came out, and I know a lot of people liked it, and I do think it's an improvement over X and Y, but I never even finished those games. I bought Sun and Moon because of my affinity to the series, my affinity to the franchise. I still consider it a huge regret on my part because I didn't stick by my morals that I was not going to buy those games. And then I ended up buying them like the second or third day that they were released. And I feel bad. I regret doing that. And Ultra Sun and Moon, I only bought Ultra Moon because I played Sun for a little bit, and then I just got tired of it, bored of it, and threw it away. Well, I didn't throw it away. I still have the game somewhere. I bought Ultra Moon on the fact and the basis that the trailers showed me something, which, while I know now it's post-game stuff, I was hoping some of it would have been integrated into the main story, but it was just a rehash of the previous games with some minor tweaks and improvements. And that was, again, my bad. I feel like I should not have wasted my money on games that I have yet to finish them. I'd never finished Sun, and I never finished Ultra Moon. I didn't even touch Moon, right? At the point, to the level where I feel like I wasted my purchases. That's the first time in the history of my affinity to this franchise that I didn't finish a Pokemon. I've bought every single mainline series game, and I've beaten every single one of them until Sun. I bring this all up to tell you that I was not in the mindset where I was gonna like these games. It was a downward trend for me at that point, and I didn't feel like these games were gonna live up to an expectation that I didn't want to give it. So I made a promise to myself before these games were released. I was gonna buy them. I was gonna buy one copy. And I said to myself, I didn't buy Let's Go off of principle. So this is my final straw. If I buy Pokemon Shield, because I decided to go with Shield because everybody was talking about Pokemon Sword, I'm gonna buy Pokemon Shield, and if I don't feel confident and I don't feel some sense of enjoyment with this game and I don't finish it, I'm done with the series forever. I had made myself that promise, and I made that statement. I've made it in video form, and I have to say, this game, while heavily flawed with its numerous issues, I feel like it's a good step forward for the franchise. And let me explain what I mean. When it comes to the whole Dexit controversy, and yes, I'm going to bring it up just briefly. I'm not going to go over everything that happened with it. I want them to do that logic moving forward, but without the excuses. I don't care about the whole balancing crap. Okay, when I made that video back then of Pokemon Sword and Shield and Game Freak being lazy and all that stuff, I still mean that. The reasoning behind the Dexit bullshit I think is wrong, and they should not make any excuses. They should just say, we don't want all the Pokemon in the games, that's fine. I think they should have just stuck to their guns with that. Because I feel like these games were better because of the fact that they weren't hampered down by shoving down all 900 Pokemon down our throat. And I think this is the way to go. I do believe that going forward, I want them to cut Pokemon from the decks that they don't feel comfortable being in the decks. I don't want every single Pokemon in there. One of the things that I loved about Black and White is the fact that I started fresh and I started new, and I just focused on the new Pokemon that were there. I did the same thing here. I played this game alongside my girlfriend. She was watching me play it, and I didn't know any of the Pokemon that I was seeing. I did see, I saw some familiar faces, here and there, which is, whatever. But for the most part, I was encapsulated by the fact that there were so many new faces that I didn't recognize, and I liked that about the game. I liked the fact that I was so vividly surprised by everything that I was seeing and all the new stuff that was going. I caught so many new Pokemon that I would not have caught otherwise if the other 700 Pokemon from past generations were there. Because there's usually, a lot of older Mons tend to have advantages over the new ones, except for the ones that, make it to OU and all that stuff. So I liked the fact that I was able to experiment with my team. I had rotations. I had different Mons coming in and out, and then I would use them specifically for different battles. Like I would go to a gym, right? I would go to a gym with a completely different set of Mons, depending on what gym it was, and I was able to do that with just the new Mons. And I think that's a good step forward. I think this is a good fresh start for the future of the franchise, and I believe they need to keep this philosophy going. Cut them off. I don't need every single Pokemon in the decks. I don't want every single Pokemon in the decks. In fact, if you gave me another region, obviously they're not going to do that ever again. They took the criticisms from Black and White to heart in the most extreme of ways. I feel like if they came back with a game and they just had new Pokemon in them, no older generation Mons in there, If they just, I would more than likely prefer that over anything else. Like, I want a new experience, right? I think this is the problem with Pokemon nowadays, is the fact that everything is so rehashed. The battle system's the same as it's always been. The story, generally the same as it's always been. I want a new experience. So I want the feeling of seeing new stuff, and that only happens if I only have new mons to deal with. Which is one of the reasons why I love Black and White. Gen 5 to me is still my favorite generation. Well, it's not my favorite generation. Generation 3 is. But I still think it's the best generation that Game Freak has ever made. I think they should look back at what they did there, tweak it to where it's not as distasteful for the fandom, people complaining and all that shit, and do it again. I think they should redo Gen 5 in a new generation. Obviously, I don't want them to remake Gen 5. I want them to use the philosophy they had back then and make it into a new one. And focus on the story a little bit. I mean, the story in this game isn't terrible, but I feel like I want to preface this by saying this. I initially disliked Hop in the trailers. I didn't like him because of the way they're portraying him. But playing the game and going through the journey with Hop, he is one of the best rivals we've ever had in the series. And I'm not even joking. I know that a couple people have said that they like Hop as a character, and some other people have stated that he's like one of the best rivals. And I'm not saying this to join them, just for joining them. I do generally believe that Hop is such a well-rounded character, because the way it starts off is that he has a weaker starter to you, which initially bothered me because How is complete garbage. Hop gets the starter weaker to yours, but they have a second Pokemon in the first battle. And then he's constantly switching his team up. He always has a starter and the Wooloo that eventually evolves into Duel. But his team is constantly changing due to the fact that you're always beating him. So he's trying to find his way. And the character arc they put with him, and the fact when he loses to Bede, spoilers, when he loses to Bede but you manage to beat him, he starts going to an internal crisis, because he's like, I'm the brother of the champion. I'm supposed to be the next champion. So he has this mindset, and when he's seeing that you are above him, right, you who are not, in his eyes, as skilled as his brother, because he idolizes his brother, he goes into a crisis. And I like the fact that they gave him this story. And then when he comes to the realization later down the line that, you know, he shouldn't be doing this for his brother, he needs to be doing it for himself, that he needs to prove that he's a strong trainer, and he eventually catches a legendary, which we haven't had that since Generation 5, where we had another character with a legendary, because we had N back in Black and White, who gets a Reshiram or Zekrom depending on the version of the game. And the same thing happens in here, and I like that. I like the fact that they made Hop a hero in his own game. Like, he and you as the character, you're the heroes of the story. And I like the fact that they gave you that right. And I believe that makes his story one of the better rival stories we've had in a really long time. I like Leon as a champion. His battle was trash, though. I mean, I beat his ass. Just kidding. I did struggle a little bit with him. I like the gyms. The gyms concept were really cool. I wish they had expanded on. I wish they had expanded upon that a little bit better. Maybe more gimmicky teams or more strategic teams. Like, I like Raihan because of the fact that he's not just a Dragon Gym. He's a Sandstorm Gym. Like, he has a Sandstorm team based around dragons and, you know, Pokemon that benefit in sand. I wish they had done that more for, like, some of the other gyms. So, for example, Nessa could have had, like, a rain built team. Who else? The Ghost Dude could have had more on the emphasis of status conditions, like Will-O-Wisp, Thunder Wave, and then using, like, Hypnosis to do stuff like that. Who else? I don't remember the name of the gym leaders. That's actually a thing that I eventually have to read. I still have to continue the game. But Opal, when you get Beat's story, like Opal as a fairy gym, you could have had her do something with that. I don't know. Like, overall, the game was fine. The one thing I do think, and I agree with the sentiment that the story's later half, near the end of the plot, is bad. Chairman Rose is like one of the worst villains we ever had. Like his reasoning for doing the things he did made absolutely no sense, and they should have not. Like that was a horrible way to end that story. Oh, I can't wait one more fucking day. I can't wait for the championship to be finished for me to enact this plan that will save us from complete doom. Like 2,000 years from now, 1,000 years from now, I forget the exact number, but like Chairman Rose was bad, and then like the assistant Oleana. Why did they turn her into a psychopath? Like immediately, like the last. Like I mean, she was kind of like a bitch throughout the story, but like they just turned her into a complete psychopath. Like right at the end, that made no sense. The Ed Tornado's fight was cool. That one, I like that one. And I'm generally excited for the possibilities of what the DLC, the expansion pass. The expansion pass does. I actually am glad they decided to go that way instead of a third game, because it wouldn't make sense. The way they made the story and the fact that it's you and Hop that are supposed to catch the legendaries, a third version would not have worked in this case, because what the hell are they gonna do with Hop as a character? And I don't think sequels would have worked. Because I don't know. I like the fact that they went with expansion. I want them to do that. Eventually, I want them to just stop doing 2 games and just release one full package with everything. Because it's not like people were gonna stop trading all of a sudden because there's one game. But overall, I like the game. It definitely has a lot of issues. Graphics, while not the most important thing in the world, do need some improvements. I understand that this is like their first Pokemon like full exploration into the console market, but they can do some improvements. Okay, the graphic can be better. I feel like they need to change a little bit of how they're handling the story. I don't think they should stray away from a darker tone and more fleshed out and more coherent story. Black and White did it well enough. You should just... Sorry I keep bringing back Gen 5, but I feel like they need to go back to that type of storytelling. The difficulty wasn't bad, right? There were some things that were challenging. I really appreciate the fact that they did bring that up to speed. I still wish that you had an actual difficulty setting, because this is an RPG, and I feel like if you're an RPG, you need to start thinking maybe about adding a difficulty setting. Like you had it in Black and White. You still have to beat the main story to do it, to get it, but do it again, like actually from the get-go, so we can skip a lot of random dialogue and other crap. I don't know. This video, I don't know, I went all over the place. The point is, I feel like they got too much hate for no reason, and the people that were spouting nonsense about the Dexa controversy, the fact that they weren't going to beat the game, and they weren't going to support this game. I'm glad I support it. The main point of this is I'm glad I bought this game. I'm very, very glad I bought this game, and I don't regret this purchase. I'm looking forward to the future. I hope that Game Freak takes some of the criticism that they received before the release of the game, tweak the story stuff for future titles. You can't fix this. You just can't fix Chairman Rose anymore. Like he's just doomed to live a life of mediocrity unless you somehow decide to remake this game in the future, which I wouldn't put it past you. Don't look at the Dexa controversy and think people only care about every Pokemon being in the game. And that's one thing I don't really like about the expansion pass. Aside from the competitive side of it, it doesn't make sense to bring back every Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon. They're gonna increase the amount in this game to an exponential amount that basically defeats the whole purpose of removing half the cast from the freaking Pokédex. So when you eventually do Gen 9, right, which I'm assuming, the expansion pass finishes in December or November, right? So I'm assuming that the next title of this game, unless you decide to do like a second expansion pass, which I would highly recommend you do that, so you have like the secondary team working on the second expansion pass, and then the main team is working on Generation 9 or whatever the follow-up games. Please don't do Gen 4 Let's Go style, please. If you do decide to do a remake and you do Gen 4, please keep it like actual main series stuff. or if you decide to go with the Gen 9 route, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it if you did like a Let's Go Generation 2 version. But I feel like you should have a dedicated team working on Generation 9 like now. Like, not this year. Maybe next year. Have them start working on Generation 9 for like 2023-ish. 2021 is too early for a new game. Like I said, you should definitely do a second expansion pass with better content and like new stuff and a new story and expanding on the Hop storyline and have him be like a professor or some shit like that. Or go with that, you know? I think that should be a thing you should do. Like a full-blown second expansion pass after the Crown Thunder. I'm going to leave that. And then release whatever Let's Go game, which I'm not going to buy, in 2022. And during that whole time, you'll have been working on Generation 9. And then you release Generation 9 with improvements that you've received from critiques of this game. Better graphics, improved story difficulty, better written villains, because real talk, the villains of this game, Chairman Rose and Oleana are not good villains. And Team Yell, I don't consider villains. I just consider them a nuisance. I didn't talk about Marnie or really go too deep into Bede. I don't know. Eventually, if you guys want me to make like a video talking about how I felt about Marnie and then how I felt about Bede, I can do like those character discussion videos I used to do back in the day. So let me know about that in the comment section below. But just in general, keep striving, keep improving. Okay, Game Freak. I'm proud of what you did here. It's not the best, but it's a huge step up and improvement. It's definitely something bigger than you guys have ever tackled in the past. So I'm glad that you made this game. I personally enjoyed it. I'm gonna keep supporting you, although you're still on thin ice. Okay, you're on probation. Just because this game was good, if the next one is trash, like, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where I have the hope that you can, or I like the thought that you guys can make a good game. And then I'm like, but then you go back to this crap. But the point is, I'm glad this game exists. I'm glad you guys made this. I'm very proud of the work that you put in here. Get better PR, though. Get a better PR department so that you don't spout the nonsense you spouted out for this game. Because you didn't manage that well at all. But overall, I want to thank you for reigniting my passion, even if it's to a small degree, for this franchise that has been such a huge part of my life. I've been playing these games since like 1997. I think they came out in the States in 1997. If I remember correctly. It's either 1997 or 1998. I'm pretty sure it's 1997 though. I've been playing these games since I was a baby, essentially. And just the fact that my fire for this franchise was slowly dying. The anime, or Sun and Moon, invigorated me a little bit in terms of the anime. This game reinvigorated me in terms of the mainline series. The side games have always been good, for the most part. There are a few extensions. Fucking Super Mystery Dungeon and Gates to Infinity. But I'm happy with this, okay? I'm very happy with this, and I want you to improve on this formula. Forget about everything else that people are saying. Improve on this. Removing the decks is actually a good thing, and I want you to keep doing that. If you don't feel a Pokemon is right for a region, don't have them there. I don't want a region filled with every Pokemon in existence. I just don't want that. So keep it up. I expect to see Generation 9 in 2023. No new game. Okay, no new... I mean, you can do the Let's Go thing in like 2022. But no new game. No new main series, like full-blown game until 2023. I want to see a second expansion pass. Just to give this game more breathing room. Like, you can definitely change like movesets and stuff like that. And change the... I think you could definitely do like a follow-up story in like a second expansion pass where like the characters have aged a bit. And we see Hop as now instead of an assistant, he's actually the professor. And then like Sonya is doing something else, like exploring some other random crap. And then you are tasked to defend your championship title or something. I don't know, something like that. But this video is going on long enough. Okay, I apologize for it. It's definitely gonna go down in the editing phase because there's a lot of mistakes I made, and I want to cut those out as much as possible. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been SoresanCrockxen. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. What did you think about Sword and Shield? Are you happy with the games? Did you not like them? What are your critiques? What did you just like? I want you to tell me everything in those comments down below. Without further ado, I've been SoresanCrockxen, and I'll see you guys in future videos.